He also forbids personal revenge by insisting on positive good in the face of evil in terms of personal insult. Look at verse 39. But I say to you that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. He says, don't resist the evil man who injures you, but if anyone strikes you on the right jaw or cheek, turn to him the other one too. And then legal contention. Look at verse 40, and we're going to come back to this. And if any man will sue you at the law and take your coat away, let him have your cloak also. In other words, if anyone wants to take you and take your undershirt, your tunic, which would to us would be like an undershirt, let him have your coat also. Now I know that sounds pretty extreme, but there's a balance to be had in here, and we're going to get to that. Then he addressed forced labor. Look at verse 41. And whosoever shall compel you to go a mile, go with them twain or 2 miles. If anyone wants to force you to go 1 mile, go an extra mile with him. And then a request for gifts or loans. Look at verse 42. Give to him that ask you, and from him that would borrow of you, turn not away. Give to him who, in other words, the context here, who keeps on begging from you. Now sometimes that gets a little monotonous and aggravating to us as people, but that's what he's saying. To him who keeps on begging from you, and he says don't turn away from him, for who would borrow at interest from you. And so there's some things, and now here's the first thing I want us to get into proper perspective and proper balance. This is a difference, or there is a difference when, well, let me say it like this first. Understand, this is not doormat theology. Okay? I guess that's the best way to say it. It is not doormat theology, as many people will say. Well, you a Christian, you ain't supposed to do this. You ain't supposed to do that. You supposed to just do this. You supposed to do that. You supposed to just let it go, and you supposed to just lay down and take it. No. That's not doormat theology. Okay? There's nowhere in the Word where we're taught to be doormats. There's nowhere in the Word where we're taught to lay down our dignity and our integrity for anybody or anything in a balanced fashion. Now, you remember when Jesus, several weeks ago, we talked about where Jesus in the same chapter said to don't be angry without a cause. Don't be angry without a cause. Anger's all right as long as there's a just cause for being angry. Okay? It's kind of what kind of the context he's drawing into this same situation. There's a difference when it's for the sake of the kingdom, or self-preservation and protection of your loved ones, or just your own personal pride. Okay? That's where you've got to be discerning. That's where we need wisdom to discern it and balance it out. But there's one thing that Jesus is advocating here. That's a spirit of excellence. There it is right there in that little short passage. He's advocating having a spirit of excellence. In other words, go beyond what's required of you. Do more than just what's required. In other words, don't do enough just to get by. Don't do just good enough. Go beyond that. That's what he's teaching in this passage. Having a spirit of excellence. And so we need wisdom and discernment to balance these things out, because the Lord is certainly not talking about being a doormat. And when it comes to the sake of the kingdom, then turn the other cheek. Because look, we're looking at a day. We're already in it. When preaching the gospel is going to be considered a crime, an offense, depending on what you preach and how you preach it. Already in Canada, right now, we already mentioned this before, in Canada, the law says now that if you say anything that's considered in any way negative about homosexuality, transgenderism, or anything else, it's a 2-year jail sentence and a fine. A real high fine. Now, that means if a preacher in Canada gets in his pulpit and he just reads Romans chapter 1. And someone wants to take issue with it, they can have that man put in jail. Now, we have the First Amendment in the United States. It may not be quite that easy, but I'm here to tell you there will be people, already are people who are trying to take away your First Amendment rights and my First Amendment rights. Already people. Well, that's been going on for a number of years now. That started kind of basically within the public school system. That started. So you know, what he's saying is, you know, balance things out. Discern these things out. Sometimes it's self-preservation or protection of your loved ones. Let me tell you what. I'm not as quick to jump to defend myself, unless I think my life's in danger or something maybe. Personal preservation. But I'm not as quick about that as what I would be about my loved ones. About my mom, my wife, my children, my grandchildren. Look here. Somebody go to mess with them, it's time to do something. I'm going to turn a cheek all right. It ain't going to be mine. I'm going to turn somebody else's cheek. You know? And so you have to balance those things out. This is not doormat theology. We need to really understand that, because there are some people who have that concept in their mind. It is not doormat theology. But now when it's a matter of personal pride, that's where we've got to learn to operate in the spirit and not in the flesh. Because personal pride goes before a fall. And personal pride can take you down. So Jesus is advocating here those things and a spirit of excellence. Do more than what's required of you. Be kind and be generous with everything that's within you. And if someone gets angry, they pop your jaw for telling the truth, turn the other cheek to them. Well, bless God, that's the truth anyway. I saw a Western, I can't remember the name of the Western, that's an old Western from years ago, where this gunslinger who turned preacher had come to town, and he was trying his best to live right and do right and preach right, and this guy had him on the street one day, and he was an ex-gunslinger, so the guy wanted to challenge him to a gunfight, and he wouldn't do it, and he didn't even have a gun on. So this guy wanted to challenge him, walked up to him, and popped his jaw, turned his head just about around. He said, now what does your Bible say about that? He said, it says turn the other cheek. He turned the other cheek. That guy hauled off and pow, popped his other cheek. He said, now what does your Bible say about that? He said, well, after that, it don't say nothing. Boom! And it was on, and he tore him up. But and I don't know how theologically correct that may be. But you know, you got to balance things out in the proper context. Francis Bacon said this: in taking revenge, a man is but even with his enemy, but in passing it over, he's superior. In taking revenge, and there again, in taking revenge over personal pride, over personal issues, a personal matter, in taking revenge, he says a man is but even with his enemy, but in passing it over, he's superior. Passing over revenge. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. He says, I will repay. So it's a difference when you talk about revenge and you're talking about justice. Okay? There is a difference. A lot of times people can't discern between the two, but there's a difference between revenge and justice. And so we've got to learn to discern between those things. Now I got to move on. The sixth illustration.